What up? What up? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Debate with Bait podcast. Yes, sir. Brought to you by MoSerious.com and the Mo Serious family. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Sports Center of the MoSerious.com family and the Mo Serious family, to be at that. But what's going down with you? I am your host, C Bake, Debate with Bait, the king of debate, back at you with another episode. And I want to bring in my bro, my backup. Well, he's a co-host as well, but the guy that kind of keeps me, on my toes with debates. He's been coming with a lot of heat, but I still win all the time. But what's up? What's up to the co-host? What's up, Cole? What's going down with you, baby?
Yo, what's good? What's good, man? Feeling good out here, man. It's a good day, man. Another day, another dollar, another week, man.
I know that's right, man. You see, he got his NY hat on. You know what I'm saying? And he in New York, he got the Yankees hat on, but they have the luxury of having two teams in every sport. So, ladies and gentlemen, Cole could be a Yankee fan one week, and then he could be a Met fan the other week. But that's the advantages of living in the Big Apple. Shout out to the chat. If you want to get in, call in at 281-969-8190. Again, call in at 281-969-8190. Support the Mo Serious family again at MoSerious.com. That is Mo City Podcast. Guns down, gloves up with Dr. Jeremiah, a.k.a. Johnny Binder, and Dr. Kansas Matthews. And shout out to the fellow Mo Serious acts. And we about to get into it, but before we get into it, we got to say what's up to Chuck, the hottest producer in the business, as well as the owner, the Suge Knight of Mo Serious. I ain't going to say Suge Knight, but the head of Mo Serious and the Mo Serious family. But, man, Cole, it's good to see you, man. It's been an exciting week in sports. I had a lot of topics, man, and then it's like I wake up today, there's the Cam Newton situation. There's a big time situation going on in boxing that we'll touch in briefly later, but it's just a lot going on, man. I think it's a great season in sports, man. We just coming off the Super Bowl. The NBA is kicking back up after the All-Star weekend. We got the MLB coming up. Baseball is about to start back up. Coming down to the NBA playoffs, coming down to the NCAA men's Final Four and bracket. Like, it's just a great time in sports. We got a lot of pay-per-view fights coming up, man. It's a lot of things going on in the boxing world and everything. So it's lit, man. The time is lit in sports. It's spring. Everything looking good, man. We got a couple of things we're going to talk about as far as the NFL, and then we'll get into the association, and then we'll talk a little bit about boxing. But, man, what's going on? What's going down up there in the concrete jungle, man? What's up?
Man, it's cool up here, man. You got the spring training. I guess Soto hit a home run the other day. We got the Mets back, even though our starting pitcher is down for like a month. But, a lot of stuff going down. The OG might come back this week or next week, and Randall, we don't know when he's coming back, but he's been running on court, doing some exercise activities. I think the Knicks might be fronting a little bit on his health, though, talking about, he may need surgery. I think we just trying to add a dramatic flair to it.
I think so.
I think he's all right, man. He's built like a truck, man. I think his shoulder popped right back, so he good.
He should, man. He should. I mean, y'all got a good chance right now. If I'm him, I'm trying to get back. I love what y'all got going on in the Big Apple as far as basketball, and particularly the Knicks in Madison Square Garden. But did you happen to see your man Bronson on I think it was Up in Smoke with Barnes and Stephen Jackson? Did you see?
No, I didn't get to see it. What happened?
They basically was talking to him. It was a great interview, man. It was about an hour, basically talking to him about, growing up as an NBA kid under Rick Bronson, his father, how, his dad, he would have to move a lot, going to Villanova, what it was like that freshman year to win a college championship. And then talking about, he went into a lot of details, and I thought it was a great interview, talking about his time with the Mavericks and how he got to the Knicks. Very good interview. It's probably about an hour long, but
I did see excerpts of it, though, because I know he talked about how he came to the Mavericks with two offers, I guess, and they turned down both. And I heard about the Michael Jordan part where he talked about the signing the jersey. He was like, nah, I don't want Jordan to mess up my jersey or whatever. So I did hear parts of it. I just didn't get to see the interview.
Right. It's a great interview, man. You get a chance, check it out. Shout out to Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes on Up in Smoke. Great show, man. But they did a lot of things. I really liked the interview because it just kind of confirmed what I thought he was, which is a dog. He's a dog. And again, I'm gonna reiterate to you, you guys have got something there. You got a foundation, but just hearing his story, his background, it's like y'all got a dog in New York, a certified dog. I mean, he might be the toughest dude y'all had since the 90s Knicks. Just hearing his upbringing, it's like it's not even about him being, he wasn't no street kid or nothing, but just like hearing him how hard he worked, and then talking about the Villanova environment, how hard they practice, talking about how hard he concentrated on fundamentals like footwork and everything that he's talking about. You can see it right now manifesting on how he's playing and just leadership qualities. When you hear him talk about his background, it's like, man, it just like it all came together, and it's like he's destined to be a superstar on this particular team in this city. It's just like a perfect marriage to me. So check that interview out back on Up on Smoke, with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. But it's great, man. It's a great interview. I think you would really like it. But yeah, man, I can't talk enough about the Knicks, and I can't. And I'm showing you, I'm not a hater. I actually love what he got going on and what y'all got going on. It makes me like, I'm like, man, am I really pulling for the Knicks? But just hearing his story,
old school, man. We like old school basketball, man. Any team that plays both ways, plays tough and gritty, we like it, yo.
Yeah.
It's these Gen Zers that love this. So shoot the three. Oh, I show you I'm better than you, basketball.
Right. Yeah, man, it's a great interview, man. Check it out. And before we get into Underdog Fantasy, Chuck is talking with possibly, ladies and gentlemen, we might have a third host. So Chuck is talking about that right now. So before we get into fantasy, make sure y'all all pray for us. We need a third host. So Chuck is doing that right now. Keep your fingers crossed, and we'll see what's going on. But anyway, let's get back to the show. Before we get into the topics, let's just talk about this right real quick because it's fresh and hot on my mind. Did you see the Cam Newton video?
Yes, I did. I'm
Okay.
seeing memes come out too.
Say that again.
I said I'm seeing the memes with the cop. There's a video of this cop that shows you how to get out of a conflict that everyone's making jokes about.
Hey, Chuck, let me get a sound check right quick.
Oh man.
Yeah, so look, let me ask you this. We're just gonna touch on this real quick. And did you get the whole backstory behind what happened? I didn't catch everything. Some people say he was breaking up a fight. Others say that people were actually coming at him. What did you find out about that situation?
I just found out it was towards the end of it. I think there was an apology that was placed out today, a couple hours ago, where one of the people involved said, this ain't the culture or something like that. We shouldn't be beefing and stuff like that. But I guess it was at the end of one of the football camps, and I guess words were exchanged, and it just went from there.
So did you hear on your end, was it him personally, or was it he was breaking up a fight? Because I heard he was breaking up a fight. I'm hearing conflicting stories.
I'm not sure. I'd rather wait another day for it to clear up, and then we reiterate next time, because I don't want to get false information.
Yeah, I know, because that's why I wanted to ask you, because I keep getting conflicting reports. But anyway, it looks bad. It really does look bad. I mean, there's a couple of positive things, like people forget how big Cam Newton is. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like 6'5", 240, 260. And so he gave dude a run for his money.
Not dudes.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about the dude that was actually looked like he was either trying to hit him or the person that he was restraining. And I'm like, man, but at the same time, man, I hate to have that on the video, man. I hate to see, in particular with us as Black people, man, to like at an event that we're trying to give young athletes and young kids a chance to better themselves and get exposure, to see that, man, it kind of broke my heart a little bit. But I want to wait for more information, but to come out, like you said, but it just didn't look right, man. It just like, here we go again, painting us in a negative light. But shout out to Cam, man. I hope that doesn't discourage him from the continuing to do camps. I hope it don't discourage him to keep doing the right thing for these young people, because my heart really goes out to him. I know he's very, very passionate about that kind of work. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the topics, and then we'll wait for Chuck to come in for the fantasy, the underdog fantasy. All right, let's go into the NFL. We're going to just touch on a couple of things in the NFL, and then we'll get to the association. All right. So I'm doing some research. I'm thinking about, all right, I'm getting excited for the draft, Cole. You know, a lot of things we talked about, and we'll break down the draft as much as we can when we get there. But there's a lot of things going on as far as free agency. We're hearing a lot of running backs are not being franchised, not putting franchise tags on these running backs. And so running backs are hitting the market. So it just made me think about NFL offenses. All these teams are probably looking to build a great offense, but today's offense is about passing. So that's why a lot of these running backs are on the market. But I was thinking to myself, let me pick Cole's brain and the audience brain on. Let's talk about who do we think had the best NFL offense in the modern day NFL. I thought this was a very, very debatable topic. So let's talk about it. All right, Cole, I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to ask the audience, which all-time NFL offense are you taking? Bear with me for a second as I go through these choices. A, the Dallas Cowboys of 2014. Tony Romo, DeMarco Murray, Dez Bryant, Cole Beasley, Jason Witten. That's the first team. Second team, 2007, and I'll go through these again, ladies and gentlemen. The 2007 New England Patriots with Tom Brady, Lawrence Maroney, Randy Moss, Wes Welker, Dante Starworth. Third team, and again, I'll go back through them. The Philadelphia Eagles of 2010, which included Michael Vick, LaShawn McCoy, Jeremy Maclin, Deshaun Jackson, Brett Selleck at the tight end. Fourth team, Minnesota Vikings of 2000, Dante Culpepper, Robert Smith, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Matthew, I'm going to say Hatchett. Fifth team, Atlanta Falcons of 2004, Michael Vick again, Warwick Dunn, TJ Duckett, Peerless Price, Algie Crumpler. Then, of course, ladies and gentlemen, we got the 2009 San Diego Chargers, which I think a lot of people forget about. Phillip Rivers, LaDainian Tomlinson, Darren Sproles, Vincent Jackson, and Antonio Gates. All right, so, Cole, we got the 2014 offense of the Cowboys, Romo, Murray, Bryant, Cole Beasley, Jason Witten. The 2007 New England Patriots, Tom Brady, Lawrence Maroney, Randy Moss, Wes Welker, Dante Starworth. The 2010 Philadelphia Eagles, Michael Vick, Boy, Jeremy Maclin, Deshaun Jackson, Brett Selleck. The Minnesota Vikings of 2000 with Dante Culpepper, Robert Smith, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, and Matthew Hachette. The 2004 Atlanta Falcons, Michael Vick, Warren Dunn, TJ Duckett, Peerless Price, Algie Crumpler, and then last, of course, not least, the San Diego Chargers of 2009 with Phillip Rivers, LaDainian Tomlinson, Darren Sproles, Vincent Jackson, and Antonio Gates. All right, so Cole, which offense, I guess we could rank them, but let's just say, who are you taking and why?
Damn, yo, this is a tough one. It's between two for me. Oh man!
All right, go ahead.
I say it's between Minnesota and San Diego, and I'm gonna tell you the two different reasons why. I think both of them had all-time touchdown people when it came to those seasons. Randy Moss, and then you also had LaDainian Tomlinson. I think the versatility at quarterback I give to Minnesota.
Okay.
The better running back I give to San Diego. The
Okay.
better receivers I give to Minnesota. The better tight end I'll give to San Diego. What makes them different for me is that I like the duality of Dante Culpepper to be able to run and pass versus Rivers just being pocket passer. And Robert Smith was solid as well. So I'm gonna go with Minnesota having the best offense, and then San Diego, and then the other teams follow. Like I Romo, DeMarco Murray, they're cool. Beasley, they were cool.
Yeah.
Same thing with New England. You have Randy Moss, but Randy Moss opened up everything for everybody else. With the Eagles was pretty tough, but I'm not sold on beyond Michael Vick and McCoy. Jackson was great. but Jackson was. I would put him on par with what Chris Carter would be doing, or what Vincent Jackson would be doing, and so forth. So I'm definitely going with Minnesota, and then my second would be San Diego.
Okay, all right. So you going in Minnesota number one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And your biggest thing is the receiving core, Randy Moss and Chris Carter. That's definitely a Hall of Fame receiving core.
That and the duality at quarterback. You could run or pass, and you already had you had an all-star Pro Bowl running back. He's not as good as LaDainian, but he was
That's why I'm glad you said that, because people don't give Robert Smith a lot of credit. He was tough.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad choice. So you going Minnesota number one, San Diego number two. That's not bad. That's not bad. Now, on the flip side, I'm going to agree with you on San Diego. To me, they're the most underrated out of this group.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to stick with the Atlanta Falcons of 2004, and I'm going to tell you why. All right. I definitely get, you make a great point, a great debate on the Minnesota Vikings, because, of course, you got the all-star receiving core. I mean, Hall of Fame receiving core. And then you got an underrated running back in Robert Smith, who doesn't get a lot of credit. And then, the tight end, I kind of know the guy. I know I messed up his name, but I kind of know the guy. He was solid. And for what he could be around this supporting cast, he was pretty good. Matthew. I'm going to roll with the 2004 Atlanta Falcons. And the reason why, I'm a little bit biased, and I'm going to tell you why. I think Warwick Dunn was a nightmare for defenses, especially out in the open field. I think about explosiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he's not better than, of course, LaDainian Tomlinson is the best running back on this list.
Mm-hmm.
But Warwick Dunn was so key in those, and I'm thinking about the Tampa Bay runs when he was down there with them. He might have been on that team when they won a ring with Tony Dungy and Warren Sapp and all them. I gotta fact check that. But I just think I'm thinking about speed and much of a threat that he was. Algie Crumpler is a very, very underrated tight end to me. And I think he didn't get a lot of credit because they didn't win that Super Bowl, but he's right up there with me. But for me, 2004 Michael Vick was just a terror for most defenses. And you talk about duality of running and throwing. Do you remember how scary Michael Vick was when he was with the Atlanta Falcons?
He was scary, but he wasn't that great of a passer. I was gonna argue with you that I
think you're wrong on that. I think you're wrong.
No. But I'm saying in comparison to his Philly days, which is why I would have argued with you to have taken the 2010 over 2004. And I'll tell you my reason for that one is because I think LaShawn McCoy at the height of his prime was way better than Work at the height of his prime.
I mean, you might be right. I don't. That's open for debate, but Warwick Dunn
was a better passer then.
Yeah, but he was a better passer. But just think of how scary. And I'm not so sure about that. I'm not sure because you got to remember this. Philadelphia Eagles Michael Vick was still good, but he was kind of tame because of all the off the field stuff he went through. Just think about Michael Vick when he was with Atlanta, when he was untamed and he was just out there doing what we know him to be, an explosive dual threat. Now, of course, his legs were off the charts, but I'm just saying for me, I want my offense to be explosive. And I just think Michael Vick on this list compared to everybody, when you talk about a person being a playmaker and being able to have the ball. See, Moss, you got to throw the ball too. Mm-hmm. The quarterback got to get it to him. But the playmaker, Michael Vick, was the most explosive player on this entire list. I just think Atlanta Falcons, Michael Vick, and I'm being biased. I'm really giving a lot of credit to one player versus what you're saying. I get exactly what you're saying as far as Minnesota as a unit. They might be more well-rounded. But as far as who was the most explosive and who put more fear into defenses? To me, it's out of Vick, it's out of LaDainian Tomlinson, and of course, Moss.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But I just look at 2004 Michael Vick as one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen. not just pocket wise. I'm saying as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just unfortunate that the league derailed him behind, the dog situation and stuff off the field. But just think about who Michael Vick was before he went to jail. On the field, not off the field, on the field. I got to roll with the Falcons. I just think they were a nightmare on offense for defenses. Now, you make a great point for Minnesota. They're probably the most well-rounded as far as overall talent. I get your point with that. For me, and I would usually agree with you on that because I'm really more about a team focus. Probably from 1 through 5, that Minnesota Vikings team is probably the most well-rounded. I mean, you could debate that with San Diego. You just got to remember what Michael Vick was in Atlanta.
Yeah, he was
And then
nice.
Warwick Dunn, who was underrated. Algie Crumpet was definitely underrated. You just got to remember who Mike Vick was in Atlanta, man. Like, you make a great debate, but okay, we can agree that it would be out of Minnesota. So you think the Eagles of 2010 could be a debate with the Falcons of 2004?
I think Vic was a better passer then. And I think he was a way better. He read the game a lot better. I think the game slowed down for him as a quarterback. I think the game slowed down for him as a quarterback, as a passer. I saw what he did for Deshaun Jackson and Jeremy Maclin, and he was just a different player. He was just a more mature player. I just felt like that was his prime. I felt like when he was in Atlanta, it's like seeing a young basketball player. They do their thing off their athleticism. And then once they get smart, then they start winning games off of pure mindset, pure knowledge.
You arguing that Michael Vick's prime was in Philadelphia versus being in Atlanta?
I think his best years as a passer were in Philly.
Okay, I could take that.
His best years as an athlete was in Atlanta.
Okay, I could take that. As far as his maturity and him being a more complete player, you say the Philadelphia Eagles.
And I think he made people better when he was in when he was in Philly. When he was in Atlanta, I felt like people were better because he was so talented that it was like you have to concentrate on him. This time around, I felt like he was actually making people better because he was making people better. He was doing things that like off his wisdom of the game.
We're gonna have to debate that. That's you bringing up great points, but I'm just when I made this choice, I'm just thinking about because nowadays, we talk about Mahomes, we talk about Lamar in particular, and we can throw your boy Josh in from Buffalo, but we talking about. I know I always bring up what's a nightmare for 3rd and 5 defenses, and I felt like the 2004 Falcons. That's what Michael Vick was. It was kind of like he was almost before his time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know.
He was.
You bring up a good point. You bring up a good point. That's definitely a debate. The Falcons versus Atlanta. The Atlanta Falcons of 2004 versus the Philadelphia Eagles of 2010. That's a good point. I'm still going with Atlanta. I just think they were more explosive. Shout out to Coach Trey, Austin, and Larry. What's up to the chat? Yeah, we here. The first question is, which all-time NFL offense are you taking? I see you guys are making comments, so you heard. I'm rolling with the Falcons. Cole brings up a good point. Cole is going with the 2000 Minnesota Vikings, which includes that offensive core is Dante Culpepper, Robert Smith, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, and Matthew Hachette. So Cole is going with that first, and he's going with the 2009 San Diego Chargers as his second. I'm going to roll with the Falcons of 2004 first, and then I'm going to go with the San Diego Chargers second. I think it's even a debate that the San Diego Chargers. I mean, look at that. Look at that core. Phillip Rivers, LaDainian Tomlinson, Darren Sproles, Vincent Jackson, Antonio Gates. There's a debate for them to be number one.
Yeah.
But anyway, Cole is going Minnesota 1, San Diego 2. I'm going to go Atlanta 1, San Diego 2. So pretty good debate. We'll have to come back to that probably at the start.
You know which one which other team could have been a good one? Is Steve McNair with Dyson, Eddie George, Isaac Bird. A couple of them. I think that would have been another nice
That
team to
could have
play.
been one. If we sticking with the 2000s, what year was that?
That was 1999, actually.
Well, then we got to do one for the 90s because I can argue
Yeah.
for my Oilers in the 90s too. With Warren Moon, Hayward Jeffries,
In
Drew Hill.
2000, you know who else you left out too? Was Pittsburgh Steelers had a nice little thing going with Antonio Brown and then the other receiver they had. And they had Bettis in the
You're
other.
talking about Juju, right? Juju,
No. Before
not
Juju,
Juju, right?
it was Holmes, Santana
I
Holmes.
forgot about them. Who was the running back? It wasn't the bus, was
It
it?
was Jerome Bettis, and then it was someone else too.
Who's the quarterback? Was it Big Ben?
I felt like towards that it was Big Ben, but they also had what's his name at the one that came to the Jets at running.
Yeah, look, Laro just said Plexico. Was Plexico on that
Yeah,
team?
Plexico was on that squad too before he went to the Jets.
All right. Well, I stand corrected. I should have put that Pittsburgh team on there.
Le'Veon Bell and Bettis were there around the same time.
Okay. All right. Yeah, the chat helping you out tonight. I didn't think
Yeah.
about that. I didn't think about that Pittsburgh Steelers team.
Steelers had some squads, man, and some
They did.
they had receivers for like a bunch of years.
Yeah, in fact, let's talk about them next because I want to get your opinion and the chat's opinion on this. But if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin, who would be your quarterback in 2024? And here's some choices. And then I've got other as a choice too if you don't like these choices. But I'm asking you to put yourself in the shoes of the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin. But here are the choices. You can stick with Kenny Pickett. You got Mason Rudolph in house as well. Justin Fields is going to be available probably. Russell Wilson. I don't like this choice, but I got to throw it on there. Ryan Tannehill. And then the last choice is other. If you are Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, who are you talking about bringing in this year in your meeting room? You got Kenny Pickett, you got Mason Rudolph, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Ryan Tannehill, and then, of course, other. What you thinking, Cole?
I'm thinking – so one of my others would be Sam Darnold because I think Sam Darnold could shine with that team.
Really?
Yeah, I think Sam Darnold is still a starter in this league, but on the right team with the right coach who's going to manage him correctly. Because I do think he has talent.
I mean, that's funny coming from you. So you saying that is it New York or is it just this team and this system in New York didn't work for him?
I think that New York never gave him talent to catch, and I don't think they ever gave him a line. And then I think when he went to Panthers, he also went to a team that was in dysfunction. I thought that if he would have got a chance to start with 49ers, that he had the perfect offensive line, perfect coach, that they could have helped him shine. I still think when I see the talent around, I think he's better than the Jets quarterback, Zach. I think he's better than the Giants quarterback. I think he's better than Pickett. I think he's better than a lot of. I think me personally, I will put him. He has the same talent as Baker Mayfield.
Okay. All right. I'll tell you what. I'll give you this. Let's take out Tannehill.
Mm-hmm.
You got Pickett, Rudolph, Fields, Russell Wilson, and then let's throw in Darnold for that fifth spot, and then we'll do other after that. I didn't like Tannehill, but I couldn't think of nobody. Mm-hmm. I know Tannehill is going to be available. And Larry said, "I'm with Larry. If Fields is there, I think you look at Fields." Yeah. And I could understand they made it to the playoffs just to talk about Pittsburgh to stay in house with Pickett or Rudolph. They did make it to the playoffs with those guys. Mm-hmm. But I would bring in Fields. If he's available. And here's why. And I'll let you get back to it. I don't know if I interrupt you. If I did, I apologize. But I'm high on Fields. The way you feel about Darnold and what happened to him in New York, I kind of feel the same way about Fields in Chicago. I don't think – well, you may be saying this, you may not be saying this, but we'll clarify later. I feel like Fields needs a new start. I feel like Pittsburgh needs an identity change at quarterback. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is Kenny Pickett, as talented as he is, Mason Rudolph, I think they're the same type of quarterback. I think Fields opens up your offense. And Pittsburgh has been known for a pound and ground type, system. That's Mike Tomlin. That's usually the Steelers. But I think they need to open it up. I think they need to bring in a young athletic quarterback who's not damaged. And what I mean by that is I think Fields physically is still capable of being a good quarterback in this league, if not great. Um, and I think he still got it up here to make the transition. I think he needs good and great coaching, which I think is a perfect place in Pittsburgh. But I think his physical tool set can help him. Again, I always talk about being a dual threat quarterback nowadays. I think Fields fits that mold. He's young. Now, when I looked at Russell Wilson, I said, of course. But how much does Russell have left?
Russell, it's hard because I feel like he could give you probably 2 good years. He's not going to lose you a game.
Right.
I don't know if he wins games for you anymore, though. I feel like he's not going to lose you a game. You could be in every game, but when it
Right.
comes down to having to make those final plays, I don't know. And I don't know if it's if he's the victim of just being on a team that just didn't seem like the right fit for him in Denver,
Right.
or if maybe he's just Father Time is catching up with him. I
And
wouldn't
you
mind
described that. You described that perfectly. I could not put that into words, but that's exactly what it is. Does he put you over the top?
I
Of
don't I
course.
don't mind them picking them up as long as they temper their expectations. Meaning
Right.
that I think that I was tell him, hey, we're gonna bring you in with Darnold or you with Justin Fields, and you could compete for the starting job. I
Right.
think he's
Right.
the perfect backup quarterback for any team. If I'm any team out there, I'm trying to add Russell Wilson as my backup quarterback because I feel comfortable if I was a playoff team and my quarterback goes down like a Cincinnati Bengals or something like that.
Perfect.
I feel
Perfect.
comfortable putting Wilson in there, you know?
If he's
So
willing to accept that role, I'm with you on that. And
mhm.
shout out to the chat because Larry said the same thing. And this is just to add to what you just said. Your explanation of him right now. What's currently going on with him is that the most successful Russell Wilson that we saw was the Seattle Lord Jesus Seahawks, and I feel like if you don't build a team like that, can he be successful? And what I mean by that is stud defense, stud running back, and him being able to make some plays outside of the pocket. I don't know if Pittsburgh can that exact type of model because again that and I could be wrong about that, but that's the only successful case study we got of him. It
Mhm.
didn't work in Denver. I don't think it was completely his fault, but is Russell a starting quarterback in this league still? We don't know. We're not sure, but I like what you said about him being a backup. Um, and then the chat says if they can get Trey Lance from Dallas, they should
That's
take a look at him.
that's an interesting spot over there is because you wonder like if I'm Dallas, I might move on from that. I might just start and say, hey, Lance and Rush, Cooper Rush, y'all go after the starting job. You show me which one's better. We tried what 5-6 years with Dak. Dak has had maybe longer than that and he hasn't done it. I think it might be time, even if you could make a sign and trade or whatever, or just let him
Now,
walk.
when you say it's time, do you mean if you're Pittsburgh, you inquire about Trey
If I'm any team, I would inquire about Dak. If I have that quarterback instability, I'll
and
require about
maybe
Dak.
give Trey and Cooper a
Yeah,
chance to compete for the
I
starting spot?
I think Dallas should be thinking more in line of I'll give Trey and Cooper a chance to start, and maybe I'll trade up to get us one of these quarterbacks to start building to build a future. But at the end of the day, Dak is
But
Dak. Dak
you paid him a lot of money though, Cole. I hear what you're saying. You make a great point, but it's like they paid him a lot of money.
to do
That's
the
why he
same
got
thing every
money.
year. To do the same thing every year. Last year they had they tried to protect him because he has too many turnovers. I think it's time. I like don't be one of those
But
teams
I
that
mean, yeah, I mean, you that's a great point, but it's like for the money. You let him walk out of the door with that money.
no, you trade. You try to get the best possible trade out of it to get some of it back. Whether you say, hey, some second round picks, third round picks, or whether you say, give me this defensive player, and somehow the cost cut into whatever. But
Okay.
I'm definitely trying to trade Dak, and I think Dak can help a team like Pittsburgh. I just
Okay.
don't
Okay.
think
That's what I was about to ask you. Let me put your feet to the fire. So if you Jerry Jones, You call Pittsburgh, and what do you say? How do you pitch Dak Prescott to Mike Tomlin?
I say, Mike, I think this is your guy. I think this is the person that can get you to win the division. Can't say they'll win the AFC because we all know Mahomes is over there. But I think this will definitely keep you in the playoffs. And all I want from you is a second and a third, or a second and a fourth.
So I rebuttal back to you, Jerry. We are in the AFC North. We made the playoffs because of great coaching and Pickett. Between Pickett and Randolph, we had game managers. But this guy you trying to send me, he's expensive. And we win Super Bowls here just like y'all trying to get back to the Super Bowls of the 90s. You got to give me something else with him. Because here's the thing. Can I start him? Yeah, we can get to the playoffs. Dak can get to the playoffs. But my whole thing to you is, as in Dallas, is like, Jerry, y'all had everything as far as a team. And he ain't able to get the job done. What makes you think I'm going to take him over entertaining a Justin Fields, or I want to entertain your Trey Lance?
Well, if you want to entertain Trey Lance, you could definitely get that, and I'm fine with that. Give me those picks that you have. But at the same time, I look at it like this: as much as you may feel that way about that, you haven't had a quarterback, not even when Ben Roethlisberger was there his last couple of years, that put up Dak's numbers. You see what CeeDee Lamb's doing, and you already have two great receivers over there. You can only imagine what Dak would do over there. I think that we're doing you a favor. And the only reason why we moving on is just because we just want to go a different direction because we tried too many times.
Yeah,
And
but at the end of the day, he is going to bring us numbers. That's you great. You make up a great point, Jerry. But at the end of the day, again, we're looking to win a Super Bowl, and he's proven with you guys. You guys had everything. Like it's still for
we
me.
don't have
That's not.
Tomlin. But
But
we
that's
don't have Tomlin. You trying to trade us Tomlin?
nah, that's not happening. But at the end of the day, I mean, you just can't sell it to me because you guys had everything. We can't give him much more than what you guys gave him on the field. Now, right, of course, we got Mike. That might be the X factor, but nah. Give me, and I'm with Larry. Give me a shot at Trey. I'll tell you what. Let me bring in Fields and Trey Lance and let them duke it out.
But
And I'll use Pickett and Rudolph for backups.
here's
And let Trey Lance and Justin Fields battle for that starting spot.
here's my question to you now, though. If you don't take Dak,
Chuck, let me get you one more time on sound check. I don't know why it's acting up. Go ahead, Cole.
So tell me one thing though. You talk about you don't want Dak and you want Lance Fields, Trey Lance, right?
Mm-hmm.
A big question for you now is how is Bosa gonna feel? How are your two receivers who are great receivers who have mediocre years because you have had a quarterback that you're going to take a chance on a quarterback such as Justin Fields or Trey Lance, who haven't proven that they're proven NFL commodities at quarterback that could throw for thousands of yards like Dak Prescott can.
And my rebuttal to you is you make a valid point, but at the end of the day, again, Jerry, I believe that Justin Fields and Trey Lance, what we have here on offense in Pittsburgh, they can also put up those numbers. And I'm willing to gamble on them because they're younger. Okay. See, the disposition of Dak Prescott, because he's older, the thing I question is does he still have time to make that jump from just a numbers quarterback, a first round quarterback, to a Super Bowl contending quarterback?
What I would say is that I'm only making this trade because we're trying to go in a different direction. I'm not making this trade because I have to make a trade. I think you have to make a trade. And I'm trying to do you a favor by asking for a second and a fourth while giving you an opportunity for you to contend more frequently, and also possibly win your division, because your division's not that far apart for you to make the playoffs and beat those teams in the division with what you had. And I'm giving you a clear upgrade, not a possible upgrade with Lance or Justin, not a minor upgrade from Pickett and Rudolph. I'm giving you an all-pro player who's done it.
Yeah, but even then, though, it's still into results, because here's the thing. What Dak Prescott has done for you, I've been able to do with Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett, which is a small objective to my long goal, which is to win the Super Bowl. Dak Prescott has gotten to the first round, lost, maybe the second round, lost. I've done similar things with Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. So even though you're absolutely right, he's going to give us more numbers, and he may even give us a 12-5 record like he did with y'all. But again, my end goal is a Super Bowl. Now, what does it take, and we'll move on from this, but what does it take from us to be able to get Trey Lance away from you guys?
Give me, because you insisting on Trey Lance. Give me a second and a fifth, because he
Okay.
was a former first round pick. We traded for him.
How about we do this? How about we give you a second with a Kenny Pickett or a Mason Rudolph?
No, we don't want a quarterback back. We already have two. We have three, actually. We have Cooper Rush, Dak, and what you call it. We trading for other positions that we need to fill out. Last year, our running back situation wasn't the best. You could trade me one of your running backs if you want it.
No deal. No deal. So back to the topic. I'm going after Justin Fields.
Fair enough.
I'm going after Justin Fields. I like the idea of you pitched to Russell Wilson being a backup, but he may be too expensive for us to bring in. I think Justin Fields fits this team. I just think the makeup that they have. And again, I'm betting on the fact, and you made a great point. I'm betting on the fact that I believe Justin Fields, just based on draft status, is better than Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. I'm betting on that. I think he's the perfect fit in Pittsburgh. And the reason why I say that, an established offensive line, established receivers, establish a good sound running game. And I think you put that together with him and his skill set. I think so. I think Russell should be considered for the Atlanta job with the Falcons. I think Raheem Morris, if I'm Raheem Morris, I'm maybe looking at Russell Wilson.
I'll only take that if they draft one.
Okay.
Only if they draft one. I think Russell, the only way I'm starting him is because I have the expectation of developing a quarterback behind him. Other than that, I'm not starting.
And that's why I say I sell the city of Atlanta. Let's try to win within the next 2 or 3 years, because Atlanta was one game out of the playoffs this year, I think. I think if you add Russell Wilson and you give it a 2 or 3 year window with you getting a young quarterback, I think it's great for the city. I think the positive attitude of Russell Wilson, along with Raheem Morris and what they're going to bring in Atlanta, they were only a quarterback away, and their quarterbacks did a good job down there, considering all the things that were going against them. I mean, the NFC South was soft, but I think Russell Wilson can. I know he can compete with Baker. So I think Russell should go to Atlanta. Let's see what the chat says. Dak is like Bolger. Oh, Bolger after Kurt Warner in St. Louis. But Dallas ain't won shit. Got to go with the younger guy. All the AFC North quarterbacks are young. That's what Larry says. Ohio State quarterbacks are solid. That's what I think. I think you go with Fields. But you bring up a good point. I really would like to steal Trey Lance from, now that Larry brought that up. But I actually, you know what? For what you asking me to give you in return, I'll roll with Fields. I think you make a good point as a GM for Lance. You got to give me some picks, but I ain't gonna roll with that. I think I'm gonna go with Fields, but we'll see. So you think I'm going with Justin Fields? What do you think the Steelers should do? You think Dak?
I personally think They should draft and go with Russell Wilson, or pick up Darnold and draft. I think those two would give them guaranteed playoffs. Russell or Darnold will give, or Dak, even though they ain't gonna go for Dak. But Darnold and Wilson will give them guaranteed playoffs. But I think you still draft a young quarterback because you know those two ain't gonna be their future.
I could get with that Russell Wilson and draft a young quarterback. Darnold, I think he's had his chance. I think he's a great backup for me.
Yeah, and I can't knock
Yeah,
that
I
if
think he's a
anyone
good
thinks he's a backup.
Yeah.
I just think he's the type of quality backup quarterback I would be looking for in this league. Because
I get
sometimes like when I watch for instance, I hate to use the Jets, but they'll be picking up a backup quarterback like Mike White and freaking some dudes that you don't know. It's like, do you really want to see competition? Because to me, I don't think there's ever a point you should have a backup quarterback that can't come in and legit be a starter.
Because chances are in this league, you're probably as good as your backup quarterback.
Yep.
Your starting quarterback is probably going to get hurt. So that's a great point. We'll see though. We have to come back to this when the season starts because I'm really interested to see what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to do, if they're going to do anything. All right, let's stay in the NFL. And I know you should be eager to debate this next topic, but I want to see what you say on this, if you're going to go with your hometown team or anybody else. But which NFL team has the best shot of going from worst to first next season? And maybe not first, maybe just improving drastically. My choices are the Bears, Jets, Bengals, Commanders, Chargers, Cardinals. Again, which NFL team, to the chat, has the best shot of going from worst to first next season, or making a drastic improvement between the Bears, Jets, Bengals, Commanders, Chargers, and Cardinals?
I'm going to say the best from worst to first. I have to probably say it would probably be the Bengals
Took my pick.
because they have the best quarterback out of all of them.
Took my pick.
And they don't play in the same division as Mahomes, which the Chargers do. And Jets, they play in the same division as Tua and Buffalo. And I don't know. I can't call how good Rodgers going to be at the age of 52. You know what I mean?
Well, for me, just to add to that, I had the Bengals as my top pick because we know what they are. We know what Joe Burrow can do. The Bengals were unsuccessful because of injuries, in my belief, last year. I think they're right there in the AFC with anybody. And plus, we know they can beat Kansas City. They're one of the few teams that could beat Kansas City. The Bengals are the safe choice for number one because of everything is still going to be there. They're going to add on, but their quarterback is coming back, who we think, pretty sure we both agree that will be a top quarterback in this league.
Agreed.
We don't know what the Bears, we don't know what they are. There's Caleb, there's Fields, I forgot even to talk about that. Yeah, there's Caleb, there's Fields, possible. We don't know what that's going to look like. If Fields leave, what they're going to do. The Jets, if Aaron Rodgers is anything we think he can be, even in his old age, as great as a player he is, and he's a Hall of Famer, they could have a chance to be pretty good. But again, we don't have any evidence yet to see what Rodgers looks like with the Jets. The Commanders are all over the place. The Chargers, which I got the Chargers, depending on what it looks like with Harbaugh, the young quarterback, we still don't know what they're going to be. The Cardinals, I just think they're all over the place. So again, I'm going to agree with you in the chat. The first NFL team on my list that has the best shot from going worse to improving next season, I would say that is the Bengals. Who was in second place? Do you go Jets or Chargers?
I'll probably go with Chargers because they just have the right quarterback and they have a great defense. They have a great offense. I just think they just need a better coach, better management system.
Right. Okay. All right. We can roll with that. That's not much of a debate. And I think the chat is agreeing with us as well. Yeah, so we'll go with the Bengals. All right. Let's skip over to the association. But do you want to, Chuck, what's going on? Do you want to do underdog right now?
Yeah, we'll get into an ad. We'll get into 2 ads and we'll come back and then we'll jump into fantasy.
Okay, cool.
Yo, rep the movement with Most Serious Fashions. Copy a fresh snapback or hoodie or a tee, all representing the Mo City Podcast, Debate with Bake, or Gloves Up, Guns Down. Everything is custom made with love from our top-notch manufacturers. We got a dope range of colors and sizes to fit your vibe. Everything from blue, red, green, black, white, and more. Rep the Mo and keep it fresh, fam. Hit up moseries.com/merchandise and order today. Let's go. Men's Fragrance, your home for 100% authentic men's cologne. We carry high-end fragrances like Creed, YSL, Gucci, Polo, and more with below retail prices. All orders come with free shipping. Order online at men's-fragrance.net. Men's Fragrance. Smell good for less. Yo, okay, we back. Yeah, so let's jump into our underdog. I wanted to get this jumped off early because I wanted to get it started before the Knicks game came on, but luckily it's still early and we can still make a few bets. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. We didn't win a few dollars. We're gonna keep it going. And so I got your boy on the screen, Cole, because I know how you feel about the Knicks and Brunson. And so they in the quarter right now. Do you see him going higher than 33.5 points today?
I see him going lower.
See him going lower. You care to share why?
I just think that it's going to be a blowout, and he probably won't see the whole entire game.
Okay. This is grab somebody from Detroit. What y'all think about one more from New York, your boy Bogdanovich.
I'll give him a 3-pointers. I'll go with 3-pointers. With two threes. Go with the 2 threes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with that too.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. We'll keep going. Let's grab somebody from Detroit, like Quentin Grimes. What you think he's gonna do?
Back to New York for the first time. I'll give him the 8.5 points. Actually, I might go lower than the 8.5 and the 13.5. Go lower than the 13.5.
With the points and boards?
Yeah, I would go lower.
It's in the Garden?
It's in the Garden.
This is the first game back for him in the Garden?
Yeah. I'll let you pick that, Baker, but I would go lower.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming off the bench. Yeah, go lower.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lose money behind Quentin Grimes. No disrespect. I mean, shout out to U of H, but
they just dropped it too. It went from 13 down to 12.
They keep dropping it.
Hey, is my man Sasser on there?
Sasser?
Nah, Sasser ain't.
I like Sasser though.
I know. Nah, I'm being biased to U of H. I think he ain't on that Chuck.
No,
he ain't on that Chuck, man. Okay, shout out to Sasser and U of H.
You got Brooklyn and Memphis play later,
and the Jordan brand.
What y'all think about Nick Claxton or Mikal Bridges?
I'll go with Bridges.
Yeah, I'll go Bridges over 20.
Over 20 against Memphis?
I roll with that.
What's going on here? Okay, there we go. All right, and let's give me one more. What y'all think about Jaren Jackson?
He's always iffy for me, man.
I'm staying away from him.
He might give you 18 and 8, and the next game he give you 25, and the next game he give you
anybody else in Memphis, I'm staying away from him.
Yeah.
They stayed away from
Jaren I don't want nothing
Dennis
to do
Schroeder.
With him. What Schroeder got?
What's he gonna get higher than 10.5 points?
I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that over Jaren Jackson.
What team he play on?
Memphis, right? Or is it the other team? I'm supposed to know this.
Is he on Brooklyn now, right?
Brooklyn. Yeah,
I'll definitely take that over. I mean, listen, don't hate because it's the other New York team. Like,
no. I'm trying to figure out. He be inconsistent sometimes.
He better than Jackson. All right, stay away from that because
know what it is? Ben Simmons is back too. Ben
It ain't
Simmons and Cam. No, and Cam, the other Cam kid, the one that be scoring like bunches. All of them be handling the ball.
But you don't think Schroeder would get more than 10 points?
Hey, well, look, I just made the bet, so.
Hey, you was taking too long.
We'll tap in this weekend and let you know if we won or not, man. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. If y'all see this, man, y'all need to pay us for this. We'd love to be sponsored.
Exactly. All right, man. Cole, you always dragging your feet when it comes to somebody other than the Knicks, man. You kill me with that.
It's just that Schroeder, like, he handling the ball with 4 other ball handlers. It's hard.
You got to stop being so biased. All right, let's get into the NBA. And I've been dying to ask you this question because, well, you know how I feel about this question. But I'm gonna back mine with accomplishments and stats, so you won't think you always think I'm hating on this dude, and I'm not. But my question to you and the audience in the chat is, who is the better player between Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant? Now, I'm not talking about current stats because I know you look on your computer and say, well, Durant averages almost 30 points a game. It should be apparent. Let's talk about what you prefer when you start your team before you start, because you're looking crazy right now. But who you start your team with, and let's look at their resumes.
You should know this already. You already knew what my answer was for years. I always said my man Kawhi Leonard was the better player. I used to always argue that.
I don't remember that, but
I always argue Kawhi. I always say he was one of my favorite players, played defense. I argued that he was better than Giannis before, and even LeBron when he was when he was healthy. He's the best player in the playoffs.
Yeah, but you always saying that Durant. Let's just talk about the stats. Let's just compare for the chat and everything, because you always think Durant is better than what he is. But let's look at it. So you taking Kawhi? That's what you saying?
Kawhi. I'll take Kawhi almost over any player in the league if he's healthy, especially in the playoffs. I don't think he's a better player. I said it before. He's one of the only few players that get to his spot like Jordan. Like, he gets to his spot no matter what. He's so strong.
Okay. I sure thought you was going to debate this.
Nah, that you can't argue. I'm surprised you even pulled that out. That's why I was looking at you like, I always talked about freaking Kawhi Leonard, yo. All my friends know that, yo. I always been a Kawhi. So
you're saying this on camera right now that you think? I'm saying
this on camera. I always been a Kawhi fan, yo. Always been a Kawhi fan. Never. I would. How I like Dwayne Wade was how I like Kawhi Leonard, yo.
So you building your team around Kawhi instead of KD?
Yes, I would. If you put them both in their prime at the best years, the Toronto years.
Switching up. You see how he's switching up?
I'm not switching up. On here. If I'm dead serious.
For months, you've been criticizing me, saying that I'm hating on Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is one of the best players of all time. Look at his skill set. He's 7 foot tall. He can dribble. He can score and all that. And then now, all of a sudden,
I will tell you this for a fact, and all my friends.
Okay, now I'm getting a real.
Everyone can say this. I've always repped Kawhi Leonard, yo. That's one thing I stand on. I stand on that. I always repped him. Like, I would never argue against that. But I will say Kevin Durant, I will give him credit for certain things.
Like what? This is what I need to hear.
I don't think they'll come out the West, but I do think that he chose wrong when he didn't choose the Knicks. He could have been with DeBrusque right now. We would have chipped if you put him on the Knicks. You put him on the Knicks right now, we take the East easy, hands down. And I won't be surprised if he ends up off the Suns next year, but they done the Suns. Suns is one and done.
Okay, so let's go to what the chat says. Larry says San Antonio Kawhi or Toronto Kawhi. Who's the better one?
I like San Antonio Kawhi.
You like him over Toronto's?
I felt like Toronto, they kept giving him a lot of breaks during that season. They kept giving him a lot of breaks that season. However, I will say Toronto, he didn't have no one else. In Toronto, he didn't have anyone else, so I had to give him his props for doing it on his own with a team.
But you don't think he was the main cog in the wheel in Toronto with the way where he actually won the championship?
Toronto, I give him his props for doing it on his own. But what I don't like about his Toronto days is that he had too many breaks throughout the season. He was always getting all these rests and everything. I felt like his best years was like them years they beat LeBron them, and he had LeBron, a little bit on lock in the finals. You know what I mean? So
calm down.
Yeah.
All right. So okay, so you not saying this has surprised me because I would have never put this on the topic. But since you want to flake now, you want to pick Kawhi Leonard. Okay, but guess what? We got a special guest, and hopefully.
Yeah, we got a special guest, so
yes.
let me just do
and
it
hopefully
justice.
A third host. She wants to have a comment on this, and we want to talk
Let me
about
do
this.
it some justice before she say something.
Yeah,
man, y'all gonna hear the voice of Miss Shayla Hudson. Man, she welcome to Mo City, welcome to Mo Serious, and slide over a little bit, slide over just a little bit, yeah. And so,
thank y'all.
She got a comment. She came in the studio. She put the headphones on. And she was listening to y'all debate. Look, she say, hold on,
y'all. Because look, I'm from San Antonio, okay?
Okay.
So,
all right.
210, okay? I live, yes, okay? It's by far, it's Kawhi.
Thank you.
It has to be Kawhi. And I love Kevin Durant, okay? Because I loved him in OKC. Because I love Russell. So I love when they had, that dynamic duo.
Mm-hmm.
I really loved them. But yeah, I mean, Kawhi Leonard, like how many times has he been defensive player of the year? Like
I think twice.
Crazy, yeah. He's Kawhi, I think, is a well-rounded. He can handle offense well, then he can handle defense well. He's called the Claw.
Thank you.
For a reason.
You know what I love about him that a lot of people sleep on, and I told people this for a long time. His game is very similar to Michael Jordan. He gets to his spots. No matter what, he gets to his spot and he pulls up.
Okay, Coy, let me ask you this. You brought up a great point, and I can already tell you know the game. Thank God, because this dude be wearing me out. All right, so let's go back to Oklahoma City because Russ is one of my favorite players.
Yeah, I love Russ.
Now, this is my problem I have with him and everybody that I like Kevin Durant, but I'm more of a disappointed fan because that was my squad in Oklahoma City. Russ, KD, what's my man? Jeff Green, James Harden
was on for a while.
The real James Harden,
yes,
me, because I really think that's what he is.
Not the Houston James.
Nah, okay. I already knew that was a gimmick. You know what I'm saying? But I'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But so my problem with Kevin Durant is this. Y'all get in the Western Conference Finals. You up 3-1 against Golden State. You're in Oklahoma City. Russ gave you
handed to you
everything. Russ gave you everything. Serge Ibaka gave you everything. James gave you everything. You are the guy. You the top guy. And it's time for you to take them to the next level. They don't, which I'm not upset about because he was young. He still got time.
Right.
But then he goes and he joins the team who he lost to.
Easy win.
He goes to Golden State, and this guy over here with this New York hat on, he wants to give him credit for that. Now, granted,
I never said that though. I never said that. I've always had an issue with the super teams. I'm a New York Knicks fan. I never believed in super teams, man.
Okay, all right. So how do you feel about him going to Golden State under those circumstances?
I love Kevin Durant, but see, I looked at it as it was just too easy. I didn't like the super team.
Yeah,
I didn't like
it
because I felt like you could tell he was lax. He knew that he didn't have to work hard. He wasn't, he knew that he didn't have to put in all of his effort when he was on that team. He knew that he was just well stacked. I could just tell it was kind of like, yeah, like he knew that the ring was in the bag.
Right.
So
okay, all right. So see, she definitely knows sports. So you definitely got to come back on. You definitely got to be the third host. Now I'm electing you, and I just met you, and I already know you know. All right,
I appreciate it.
So but you heard that, right? So
I heard that. I have no problem with it because New York, we don't love super teams. We get it from the dirt out here, man. We didn't. Carmelo said, "I'm coming out here without no Dwayne Wade, without no LeBron. No one has to come. We're gonna win this on our own." That's the mentality we have out here, man.
All right. So you do agree,
from the mud, man. We get them from the mud, man.
All right. So we can move on. So you do agree that Kawhi is you would take Kawhi? Okay. All right. So we got 3 people that agree. All right. So let me ask you this. Let's move to the next topic because I really thought he was going to pick Kevin Durant, but everybody evolves, and that's good. I'm glad you finally evolved.
That was always mine, though. That was always mine.
All right, so look, let's move into it. All right, let's go to the next topic because I feel some kind of way about this topic, but we'll debate it. May not be much of a debate, but I just want to bring awareness to this. We start talking about the NBA. Well, it's not the NBA Hall of Fame, it's the Basketball Hall of Fame. But should defensive superstars like Alvin Robinson be in the Hall of Fame? Now, Robinson's resume, because everybody's not going to know who this is. He's got a Defensive Player of the Year. He's a 4-time All-Star, 3-time steals champ, 1-time All-NBA, 5 out of the top 11 steals per game. I messed up this stat. Game seasons in NBA history. He's an all-time steals leader per game at 2.7. He has a record of 3.7 steals per game. In his 1986, that's the year he won Defensive Player of the Year. It's never been matched. Now, he averaged 20 points a game on 50% or better for his playoff performance 3 times in the postseason. Now, he's also one of the 4 players to have a quadruple double in the NBA. He's the only guard to do so. With a stat line, that particular game, I can't remember. It was sometimes in 1986, but he had 20 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 steals. And he joins the likes. It's only been 4 players who's ever had a quadruple double in the NBA. Nate Thurman, yours truly, the best center in the 90s. Hakeem Olajuwon, and of course, David Robinson. All right. Mm-hmm. Now, other examples of defensive players who helped shape the game in the NBA in their era was never much of a scorer like this guy wasn't, but also in the likes of Hall of Fame. And this is the company I'm saying, Cole: Rodman, Mutombo, and Ben Wallace. Now, with that being said, I know I threw a lot at you and I'm making a case, but do you think Alvin Robinson should be in the Hall of Fame? Based on 1 Defensive Player of the Year, 4-time All-Star, 3-time steals champs, 1-time All-NBA, and one of the 4 players that ever had a quadruple double in the NBA. Should he be considered for the Basketball Hall of Fame?
That's a tough one. I mean, you make the All-Star team, you first team All-NBA.
Okay, hold on, because I know where you're going. So let me stop you right now. We're not talking about Draymond, because you're going to try to slide Draymond in that conversation. I know how you think.
I wasn't sliding Draymond in there.
No, you like Draymond, so you was going to say that. So let's just don't even bring that up. Okay, all right. My bad. I don't mean that.
Draymond in there, because I could easily put Draymond in the same categories as Charles Oakley. I could easily put him in those categories. Horace Grant.
I didn't say nothing, Chuck. Back to Alvin Robinson.
I will say that's a tough one. If I'm gonna put Robin and Mutombo in there,
don't fire him up.
I gotta think. Does he have that impact? Because I'm only going off of stuff that I hear my uncles talk about. Because I can't say I personally saw him play to be able to truly.
Well, just look at the stats that's on it. What I gave you, like he's an all-time steals leader at 2.7 a game. His record of 3.7 steals per game, and that's the year he won the 1986 Defensive Player of the Year. He averaged 3.7 steals a game. He's got a quadruple double. He's the only guard to ever do it.
I'm gonna say yes, because he was first team All NBA. He had 4 All-Star appearances in 1 Defensive Player of the Year. That's not something that basic human beings that come into the league can do. Like he's better than the average Joe. So I will go on the limb and say yes without seeing him play. Like I've seen highlights of him, but I haven't seen him play.
So you think he should be in the Hall of Fame?
I will put him in the Hall of Fame. If we're putting, I'm trying to think of who we put in there that's like borderline. I will put him in. I'll put him in.
What you think?
My question is, like, why is he so overlooked then if he's had stats of that caliber?
Because most defensive players don't get in the Hall of Fame. Like you got to jump off.
Got to excel.
Yeah, you got to jump off the chart. Like when you think about, like, just on this list, and that's a great question, by the way. Mm-hmm. You got Rodman, robo rebounder. Yeah. You got Mutombo, block shot king. Mm-hmm. And then how many Defensive Player of the Years did Ben Wallace win?
I think he won 2. But to add to that, what you're saying, though, I think the 2 major differences why he's not marketed like that is, 1, the time in history, the marketing wasn't there. And two, you had Rodman, who was just different. Like he stood out from the hair color to the stuff he was doing off the court to the same thing with Mutombo with the finger waving and also not being an American athlete. I think a lot of different things made him excel and stand out more for him to be able to be seen. So,
plus another knock to that is, to your question, he never won a championship. So that's why a lot of people wouldn't know who he was.
The rings talk.
Yeah.
The rings talk.
But do you think he should get in with those numbers? Or you just like, I don't know?
I feel like I'm going to pull a Kiki Palmer. She said, I don't know who that man is. On the street. I wouldn't know his name.
Somebody else in the chat said the same thing. Like, who is that?
So I'm going to say, bless him where he's at.
All right. Yeah. I can rock with that. Because they said it in the chat. What the hell is that? No, that's a great point. I would say.
Now, Lero asks, is this the guy who Shaq stole off on?
I think so.
Oh, see, yeah.
No. Because this dude was in 1986. Nah,
this is Shaq. I was 6 years old. I was 6 years old then.
I'm gonna say yes, but I'm biased. I'm biased because I feel like defensive players, they don't get a lot of credit, and for him to 3.7 steals a game. Number one, that got him a defensive player of the year. And you got to remember this. This is a guard doing this. Usually defensive players are block shot artists, Mutombo, Ben Wallace, Dennis Rodman. So the fact that he was a guard and doing what he's doing, I would say yes.
How tall was he?
He was probably...
One is 6'3".
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's like smaller scale.
Smaller scale. Mm-hmm. And in 1986, they wasn't giving credit to small players like that. So for him to do that, 3.3 steals a game is crazy. And not to mention this, that same season in 86, I believe, when he won Defensive Player of the Year, he averaged 20 points a game. So he actually could score as well. He wasn't out there like Nate McMillan, but he actually scored 20 points a game. Now, that's one season. The argument against him being in the Hall of Fame is that people would say that's not enough work to get in the Hall of Fame. I think just because of his size, and it was uncommon for guards to be Defensive Players of the Year. I think Jordan might have started off in 87, probably. But I think he should. And then another thing, too, who gets a quadruple double? I mean, he had 20 points. It was a game. He had 20 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, 10 steals in one game. He joins the likes of Nate Thurman, who's a big man, Hakeem Olajuwon, who's a big man, Dave Robinson, who's a big man. So he should get in. If he doesn't, he should definitely get a lot of recognition for that. Because, I don't think I've ever seen a guard get 20 points, I've seen 20 points, 11 rebounds, and even 10 assists, but 10 steals in one game. And that was in that 85, 86 year. So I think he should get in. Chuck, what you think? I know you don't know who he is either, Chuck, but you don't think so?
I think you need more people. You ain't done enough.
Everybody
who's in?
He had 4 All-Stars. He was all NBA second team. NBA Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time All NBA first team, 4-time.
I remember that. He was a
4-time All Defensive second team, NBA Most Improved Player, 3-time steals leader, and the second team All American and third team All American. I think he deserves it.
Okay,
so because not to mention, I didn't even think about the other stats. Because remember, it's the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's not the
you can look at college and everything, right?
Okay,
so Cole just added
his whole career. Yeah, that's different.
I
was looking at I was just looking at his performance in the league.
That's what people that would say no is okay. It's only 4 times he really did something of significance in the league. So, but I'm just like at that time. Guards weren't being appreciated for that kind of stuff.
Oh no, not that type of productivity.
Yeah.
I just Googled him. He spent 14 years on the Spurs. Let him go ahead and get it.
Oh, there
Let him
you
go
go.
ahead and get his
bias right here.
Let him go ahead and get his
award.
award. You know,
All right,
let
all
him
right.
get his shine.
Antonio
Let him
in
get
the
his shine.
building.
All right.
We gonna let you shine because y'all got Wemby now. You was probably real quiet the last 8 years.
look. God will send us one.
Hey, he's having a phenomenal season. All right, let's get
Look, I think he just had one of them quadruple doubles.
Mm-hmm.
close.
Yeah.
Did
Not
he?
quite. Not
Okay.
He didn't have a lot of triple doubles.
Yeah.
Because remember, quadruple double is 4.
He ain't have a 10 block game.
Nah, not yet. He got close.
He working on it.
He'll be there though. He'll be in this club. I guarantee
It'll
you.
probably happen in the Garden too. No, you know how it
It
goes.
should happen. I hope he do y'all bad when he come up there too. All right, Cole. I'm really interested to hear your say on this next topic, and of course you. It's not that big of a topic, but it's kind of going along what's going on in the season right now in the NBA. But former NBA forward Chandler Parsons says the Oklahoma City's young trio of Gilgeous Alexander, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams could be more productive than the trio that's currently with the Los Angeles Clippers right now, meaning the likes of Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and James Harden. And he's saying they could be more productive as soon as next year. Now, we could pull up stats on that, but I don't feel like pulling up stats. But if you want to pull up some stats, feel free, Cole.
No need to pull up stats. I'll say why I agree with it. I think they already got the best scorer in the NBA outside of Luka, and he might be a better scorer than Luka because he's a little bit more athletic than Luka. But I really like Chet. I think Chet and Wemby is the future of big men. I think they both can handle the ball. They both can post up. They both fundamentally skilled. And I've told you this since last year that Jalen Williams reminds me of a young Harden. So
you did say that. You did say that.
I personally think that they're going to be a tough out this year. And next year, I definitely do think they will be a better team because I also think they have a better all-around team when it comes to bench and role players as well too.
But I think their record is better. Is their record better than the Clippers right now?
They were tied for, as of I think it was last week, they were tied for the best record in NBA. But I'll double check that.
So do you think, man, that's a lot though. More productive than, we would have to name some.
And they're getting older too. You got to consider that. And they do have a better record than the Clippers.
I don't know, Cole. I go back and forth on this one.
They're the second in the West, the OKC.
Kawhi Leonard right now. And everybody was down on this when Harden joined the Clippers. Everybody was hating on this with the Clippers. It's like, who gonna play defense? Who gonna take a back seat? But they are burning it up in LA right now.
I love it. It puts Harden.
I don't know.
Position.
Chuck, give me a sound check. I don't know. This is tough. What do you think?
I'm thinking about it.
It's a tough one.
Yes,
it is.
I think basketball, as every sport does, is evolving, and they got some fresh blood in the league, fresh blood in the team. I think it's like a new era. So I think you give them some time, to play off each other, continue to learn their skills as well as their peers. I think they're definitely becoming a force if they're not considered one already. So. Because they're playing against veterans, so they only get better too while learning from the older people who've had, longevity in the career too.
That's
so
true.
I think,
because it's not comparable to your point. It's not comparable as far as accolades. Of course, Kawhi Leonard championship, Harden MVP, Paul George multiple year All-Star, but I guess we'll have to wait till the end of the season on this.
I got a question for you. How do you compare them to the previous OKC group of Westbrook, KD, and Harden?
Okay.
Oh, that's a good one.
New OKC versus kind of old OKC.
That's a great question because, and then let me say something and I'm going to let y'all spin on that. If I'm taking out accomplishments and resumes, but if I'm playing video game mode, where I take these three, Chet, Gilgeous Alexander, and Williams, put them in a video game against OKC James Harden, OKC Westbrook, and OKC Durant. I'm trying not to think about what they've done
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
They got almost to the promised land. And so it's hard to not think about that. Like that's why KD left, because they couldn't quite get there.
Mm-hmm.
What makes it hard is that all three were MVPs of the league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's accomplishments. Remember, it's like take this year's team, and then what year was that? 2012? Before they made the accomplishment. That's why it's hard to do, because you keep seeing the multiple MVPs. Like all three of them, Harden, Russ, and KD, they all got league MVPs.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could kind of imagine what they look like when they were in Oklahoma City, when those three versus this three,
I think the pieces fit better with this new squad, because I think
disagree greatly. You could be Go ahead. I disagree.
I think Chet can play the post and wants to play the post, versus Durant wanted to be a guard, versus Harden wanted to be a star and be out there. He's a ball handler, the same thing as Westbrook. I don't feel like the pieces when it comes to creating a team. If you tell me I'm going to create that team or this team, I'm creating the one with Chet and Williams, because I feel like they're playing their natural positions, versus Harden's a better playmaker than Westbrook, but Westbrook is a point guard.
And I don't mean to interrupt you again, though, but you're forgetting there's not enough timetable with these three to say that yet, because you base that on the fact that they couldn't get it done, so they left. And you're saying right now that this group is more cohesive.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it based off of fit. If you look, they got a 7-footer who plays down in the post, who actually plays the power forward position. And then you actually have Jalen Williams, who can play the 2 or the 3, but who's more of a natural 3. And then you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the guard.
I disagree. You make a good point, but I disagree. I just think, and maybe I'm biased, because that was my favorite team back then. I watched them when they played the Rockets here with McGrady and all them, and it was scary how good they were. It was scary how good because they could have and that's Russ and KD could have an off night, and there was no answer for James Harden coming off the bench. Like, I actually think that's what James Harden really was. I just think we made him a superstar in Houston. That's for a whole nother discussion, but I'm biased. But not to mention, you forgetting Serge Ibaka looked great. Jeff Green looked phenomenal. I thought Jeff Green was going to be years and years of an all-star. I thought that was coming. I mean, they were great. This team is good, but I saw greatness in that team. That's just my opinion. That team, and I'm not even talking, I'm just talking about watching them play. I watched them play with my own eyes, and I'm like, I can't believe they're this good. Like, think about it. James Harden was coming off the bench for this team. Jeff Green, Uncle Jeff was, it was Serge Ibaka, almost like a young Elijah one with his footwork. I see how you looking with his footwork, not his complete game. All right. But at the end of the day, and it's good that Chet is playing the center, but at the end of the day, he had nothing for Durant. If he had to match up with Durant, he had nothing for Jeff Green. I like Chet, but he's soft.
I don't think he's soft. I don't think you watch enough games if you think he's soft.
He shoots threes.
He ain't nobody in the post too, and he bangs down there. And he blocks shots. Watch some games, Baker. Watch some games.
Yeah, his TV is different than mine. But
watch some games. I'm telling you.
I don't know. That's up for debate. I guess we'll have to wait.
Record. They got the second best record over here, and he would win Rookie of the Year if it wasn't for Wemby.
Just like the chat said. Look, the chat just said soft as baby shit.
All right, we gonna see. Yeah. That second best record in the West is soft over there.
The NBA is soft, but
right. But the Clippers are softer because they got a worse record than the OKC.
Okay, so you actually saying
women lie, men lie, numbers don't. Women lie, men lie, numbers don't.
So you saying that this big three would beat the KD, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook big three back in the day? Go ahead and say it.
Y'all had Collison. Call it. Next year for sure, I think I would definitely say yes. I think they would beat that first year together, big three against So we can break it down like this: that first year together, big three against this first year together, big three. I actually can see this team going to the Western Conference Finals.
The OKC?
This OKC team, I can see them going to the Western Conference this year.
So you heard him, right?
This year. I've said it. As long as they don't play Clippers in the first round, I think we could beat anyone else in the second round.
So let me let her add to this, because I think she's kind of feeling what I'm feeling. But before she says something, so you're saying they're better than your Jokic, Denver Nuggets, the best player in the world?
They just seem too injured. I don't think they have enough on the bench. I personally think the three best teams is the Clippers, the Milwaukee, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm sorry. The Minnesota Timberwolves and OKC. And I will tell you this: I think if OKC and Minnesota played each other in the playoffs, I'll give it to OKC to beat Minnesota.
Go ahead.
So
please.
Dig this: if the playoffs started today,
I'm not gonna say nothing.
If the playoffs started today, OKC would play New Orleans, and I think I see them beating them in the first round.
Yeah, I see that.
Nobody doubting that. Okay, he just said that they better than
every team but Minnesota and Clippers. I think is a toss-up between them.
He said they better than the Nuggets. Record-wise, you could argue that, but he's crazy. But
I think they could be had this year. I'm sorry. I don't think that they have enough around them.
I agree with you. I feel like KD, James and Russ, like these other guys, like they are exciting, but when they got on that court, you already knew what time they was on. Like they was electrifying. Like I saw them play against the Spurs, and like I'm obviously a Spurs diehard, but even then I caught myself standing up when they, because like they read each other so well, like they know their chemistry. And even when they were in the early stages of getting that team built, like that triple threat built, it was just natural for them. Like it was unfortunate that they weren't able, to take it to the top, as you said, the promised land. But we just knew, like especially when they was in playoff mode, like playoff season. Yeah,
they was Scott.
Yeah,
and see, that's the thing. What she said, she brought up a good point, and I said it too. But it's like you had to watch them play live. It was crazy. I couldn't believe how good they were that young.
I mean, they were so good that Houston was like, "We're gonna make him a star." He coming off the bench.
Was the biggest mistake.
It was a huge mistake.
Yeah,
it was a huge mistake. Kinda, right? I think it fitted with D'Antoni, and that's a different podcast.
That's his coach. Yeah.
Oh, D'Antoni.
Yeah, he think he's the greatest thing to offensive basketball ever, and the man never won a championship. But go ahead.
To the point I was about to make, I was like, "That's why."
Because I know I won that debate. That's why he ain't saying nothing. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I just feel like that was the way Harden played off the bench in OKC. Was so tough that Houston was like, we're going to make you a star.
Right. And to Cole's point, that's why I say maybe we have to wait because, we have the advantages of seeing what came out of that group. You got 3 MVPs. Arguably, right. Arguably, I think all 3 of them, are they in the top 75 players of all time? I mean, so maybe Cole, we have to give Cole a little bit of break in terms of we have to wait and see what's going on with this young group. But for what I've seen with my eyes, and like she said, you could argue that could be seen possibly as one of the greatest big 3 of all time. I'm talking about even with Bosh, LeBron, Wade.
Oh, yeah.
Can I give an example? But I'm trying to say, I think that I get the whole LeBron, Bosh, Wade, KD, Westbrook, whatever. But when it comes to building a team, when it comes to San Antonio Spurs,
I know exactly what you're saying.
Dallas Mavericks,
right?
I feel like that's the type of vibe that OKC is building. I feel like they have pieces that just fit the right position for what you need. You play against a big man. You need to slow the game down,
right? Because you could argue this. To your point, I see what you're saying. If you could look at the big 3 as far as Harden, Westbrook, and Durant, and say, based on individual accolades and what we've seen with our eyes, like we're saying, but if you look at a big 3 like David Robinson, Tim Duncan, maybe Ginobili, or even Tim Duncan,
Tony Parker,
and Ginobili, Your argument, to your point, is that's more of a team big three.
Right.
Versus Harden, Durant, and Russ is individual stats. Look what they became. And maybe that's the reason why they didn't stay together. But if you look at a big three, like, again, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan, even what might even be going on in Denver right now, with Jokic, Murray, it's more of a team vibe. I see what you're saying. A big three that plays off each other versus a big three that's high powered like Russ, Harden and KD. I get what you're saying. That's a notable. Yeah. We got to get up out of here. All right. I didn't know I was going that far. Cole got me going on. All right, Cole.
Well, I'm gonna let y'all finish off.
Okay.
I'm gonna let y'all do your thing.
We appreciate it. Hopefully you'll join us a couple more times if you want, or come on with us. We'd love to have you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Perfect.
Definitely dope.
I appreciate it.
So we're gonna be bugging you to come back.
Oh
right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. All right.
Yes, this is definitely dope. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
All right. So Cole, before we get out of here, right now, I'm going to ask you a difficult question, and then we're going to wrap up. We'll do the boxing thing next week. All right. Start, bench, and cut. Right now, Jokic, Giannis, Luka. Start, bench, cut.
I'm cutting Giannis, yo.
Ooh.
Cutting Giannis, man.
Ooh, you cutting Giannis?
Giannis. I'm going to tell you why. I believe in... The only thing Giannis has over Luka is defense. The only thing. Because Luka's going to give me rebounds. Luka's going to give me points. Luka's going to hit his free throws. Luka's going to do everything Giannis do except for defense.
So you going to cut Giannis?
I'm cutting Giannis because I'm not cutting Joker.
Giannis won a championship already.
That's nice. You asking right now, this moment.
Wow. So you taking start, bench, cut. You cutting Giannis.
I'm starting Joker and I'm benching Luka.
You benching Luka.
And I'm bringing Giannis off the bench. I mean, I'm cutting Giannis. I'm starting Joker and I'm bringing Luka off the bench.
Oh man.
And I say it for a couple of reasons. It comes down to the end of the game.
Give me a reason.
Come down to the end of the game. You need free throws, Luka or Giannis. Who you choosing? You need 3-pointers. Who you choosing?
Okay, but that's one scenario.
We
talking about overall play. You couldn't
overall play what Luka's been doing with trash players. Like he's been playing with trash players his whole career, and he has them in contention or making the playoffs every year. But you can't put that. You can't put Giannis.
Two-time defensive player of the year. Is he two-time MVP? Did he win two MVPs?
Well, you said right now. We're only talking about in the moment. We're not talking about history. We're living in the moment.
And you think he's playing better than Giannis right now?
Playing better than Giannis right now. I think he's playing MVP caliber right now. I think he's better than Tatum. I think he's better than Giannis right now.
Man.
And he consistently does it.
I gotta go with Giannis, man. I'm with you. I gotta start Joker. I gotta bench Giannis. I gotta cut Luka, man. I gotta see this thing play out in Dallas. I don't think they have enough. I think he's great. I think he's all NBA, first team, everything. And he's definitely an MVP candidate. Can't take him over Giannis right now. I understand your case, though. Mm-hmm. You make a hell of an argument. Because at the end of the day, right now, even if Milwaukee's record is better, the trajectory of Dallas right now looks great.
Mm-hmm.
But they got to finish it off for me. They got to make the Western Conference Finals. They got to make the NBA Finals before I could put him over Giannis. And I get what you're saying currently. I got what you're saying.
They're a team that needs to, honestly, if they plan on keeping Luka, is either get rid of Luka this summer and get as many draft picks as they can.
They're not going to do that.
Or trade Irvin and build out the roster the right way.
They might.
Which I think is something like getting Zach LaVine and DeRozan for Irvin and something else or something.
They might have to go that way. Yeah, man. I wanted to get into this boxing thing, but I'll wait because there's a lot of things going on in the boxing world. But we'll chat on that next week because we'll have more clarity. But let's give out some shout outs and let's get out of here, man. I want to first give my shout out to Eric Bieniemy for becoming UCLA's associate head coach / offensive coordinator. I don't like the fact that he wasn't able to land a pro job, but at least he landed a school job, a historically stout program with UCLA. And I think it'll be good for him because he actually gets to recruit, which will show his eye for talent, which I think the NFL, after I do think he's going to have success in the college world. And I think it'll be a better resume builder if he wants to go back to the NFL as a head coach, which I think he should, or if he possibly wants to be a college head coach. To shout out to him for that. We give a shout out to Canelo Alvarez for being the top earner and still the face of boxing. In the year of 2023, he earned $66 million. He was the top earner in boxing, according to Forbes, even over your Gervonta Tank Davis. Shout out to Carissa Shields, man. I actually watched this. I don't watch MMA, but for getting her second MMA win with split decision win over Kelsey DeSantis. Shields is now 2-1 in her MMA career. And this was the first women's MMA bout in Saudi Arabia. So there's a little bit of black history there. There's a little bit of women's history there. Shout out to Carissa Shields. And shout out to Mike Conley Jr., man, for having 0 technical fouls in a 17-year career. You know, Mike Conley Jr. has never got a technical foul, and he's still playing. So shout out to him, man. But go ahead and give out some shout outs, Cole, before we get out of here, man. We was actually spinning. We've been burning the time clock tonight.
I actually just want to give shout out to MLB for about to make a good season. Honestly, I like a lot of little different moves that
we got to talk about that too.
Los Angeles Dodgers and the Cubs and the Yankees have made. I think that this year baseball might be exciting because I think for a little while it was falling off, and I think it's slowly starting to make a small little comeback. So shout out for the marketing team. Shout out to NCAA college football for playing for the NILs, for the likeness, $600 per player to bring the college football game back that's been out forever. And shout out to, again, my New York Knicks just for, being the New York Knicks. So, I'm always going to shout them out. So,
yeah, and I want to shout out to the co-host we had tonight, ladies and gentlemen. This is Shayla Hudson Chuck. She did a great job just coming in on the fly. So shout out to her. Hoping she comes back. Yeah, man.
Yes, I'll give y'all a quick update, and I don't even mind doing it publicly. Y'all know I was looking for a Molly type host or a Stat Baby type host to kind of mediate y'all debates. You know what I'm saying? And so Shayla got a journalism background. She was interested in podcasting, specifically in sports. She worked for the city of Missouri City. We linked up the other day, and I was like, man, I might have an opportunity for you. Pull up Monday, and so she pulled up. I was just talking to her outside. She loved it. She thought y'all both had a dope vibe. She liked the studio, and so yeah, she gonna come back more. And so it's going down, man. Shout out to Steve Hudson,
man. Some hand clap for that, man.
Yes, sir.
All good, man. But yeah, man, shout out to MoSerious.com. Go check out MoSerious.com for merch, hats, hoodies, shirts, more merch coming. Check out our other podcast, Guns Down, Gloves Up, Mo City Podcast. Keep rocking with us with Debate with Bake. Shout out to Cole in New York. Shout out to C Bake down here in Houston, still holding it down. Shout out to the show. Shout out to the chat. Larry, Trey, Feet, Chuck, all of y'all. Chuck being on the chat too. And shout out to everybody. Thank you all for kicking it with us for tonight. We had a great show. And pray and hope that we get our third host to come back. Me and Cole going to keep pumping them out. We're going to bring in guests. We got to get in on this baseball thing. And shout out to Cole for that baseball take, because just like basketball, when the big cities are spending money, it makes it better for the sport. Shout out to the Knicks. Shout out to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And we will get on this MLB this season. And shout out to you all. Peace.